Thank you. To participants, I'm Julio Garcia. I'm here to talk on behalf of New Energy Coalition about our activities regarding green gases. And yeah, so I'll be sharing with you an overview of who we are, as well as an overview of one of the projects that we are carrying out. That's at the center of our research on green gas and hydrogen. So on this slide, so what is New Energy Coalition? We are, first of all, the country member of ERIC from the Netherlands. We are a cluster organization. We have many members from across the Netherlands that are in different disciplines, research, policymaking, industry. They are all interested in energy. That's what brings them together. We have brought together parties across the whole value chain of green gases. For example, producers of green gases, transporters of green gas, consumers, and not only directly involved in the value chain, but also on research, public research, private research, as well as government and policymakers. So we represent their interest in different groups, ERIC being one of them. So we are active in many EU projects at different levels. We usually do project coordination, project management. We also work on communication and dissemination, and we also work on content creation. That means on research. We ourselves do research more on the side of techno-economic assessments, on value chain assessments, on things regarding education, as well as regulatory perspectives. And an example of our projects is here. Our flagship project is Heaven. You will hear more about it this week. This is the first recognized hydrogen valley in Europe. Not only that, but we also have projects called IANOS, which is about the decarbonization of islands, Making City, which is about integration strategies for energy and mobility in cities, looking at the positive projects about how to make cities green. So because many of some of our members are actually cities, municipalities in different parts of the Netherlands, and they are very interested in how can they best adopt smart grids and green technologies. We have this recently started project, Consensus, which is about large-scale demonstration of carbon capture, storage, and utilization in different parts of Europe. And one of the projects, the one of which I am coordinator, is High Delta. High Delta is a project where the transport of hydrogen in the existing natural gas infrastructure is researched. That being said, and me being the coordinator of that project, I would like to focus a bit more on this High Delta project. High Delta, we call it an overarching research program towards hydrogen economy in the Netherlands, because we recognize that one of the crucial parts of connecting the producers of green hydrogen and the consumers of green hydrogen is having a strong transport infrastructure. In this, we are aiming at proving the feasibility and the safety of transporting hydrogen over long distances using the existing Dutch natural gas backbone. So this I pretty much just told you what is High Delta. It's a public-private partnership between research institutions and the Dutch gas transmission and distribution system operators to look at the short-term feasibility to transport hydrogen either as 100% or blended. The answer is they're more the preference. We have Hasoni, the Dutch transmission system operator, who is interested in transporting 100% hydrogen, on transporting also blends. They are looking at the business cases of each, seeing which makes sense for which kind of off-takers. Whereas the Dutch DSOs, they are more in favor of, if there's going to be a switch, the switch should be more on hydrogen, on 100% hydrogen. This project started in 2020 and will end by mid next year. Here is an overview of the partners. We have partnered up with DNV, Kiva, New Energy Coalition, and TNO. All of us are doing research in the Netherlands regarding energy. On the side of the sponsorship of the project, this was sponsored by the government by means of TKI New Gas. And there is also a contribution from Hasuni and Netbeheer Nederland, which is a cluster organization that represents all of the DSOs in the country. There are three main themes within the High Delta project. We researched the hydrogen safety, we researched the hydrogen in the gas grid, and we also research value chain and hydrogen admixing situations. In this slide, I'm going to show you a bit of the questions that we are researching. I'm going to tell you also a bit about what our results have been, and I'm going to tell you a bit about the future outlook of the project as well as of New Energy Coalition. Starting with hydrogen safety, we're looking at authorization. We are researching, is it possible to authorize with a non-sulfur containing compound that would be easier to work with in mobility applications, in fuel cell applications. We're looking more at standards and regulations. What can we adapt? What can we reuse the exact same way for hydrogen? What needs to be changed? We're looking also at hydrogen in the gas grid on the safety side, looking at doing a quantitative risk assessment on what actually needs to change, what rules, what measures do we need to undertake if we are to operate with hydrogen. This is hydrogen in the gas grid. We're looking at topics such as consumption, looking at are there off-the-shelf hydrogen flow meters for houses? What will be the repercussions of metering hydrogen for houses? How will that have a repercussion on fair pricing of the gas? Looking at the existing infrastructure, first of all, looking at the operations, at the current procedures for commissioning, decommissioning, switching gases, flaring, purging, all of this when working with hydrogen, is that safe? Is there anything the system operators need to pay attention to in particular? Looking at training of our technicians, what kind of knowledge do they have to know? What kind of training do they have to undergo before they are allowed to work in hydrogen infrastructure? Looking at the safety equipment to see if the safety equipment can operate the same way it was intended when working with hydrogen instead of its original purpose, which was natural gas. And finally, looking at value chain and hydrogen admixing, looking at the hydrogen value chain, how will it look like? Which windfalls, which hurdles can we encounter for which business cases? So what makes sense to transform first to hydrogen operating? Looking at the innovations around the world and how the Netherlands plays a role there as a future importer of large volumes of hydrogen. We are looking at what actually needs to, what will happen, what is most likely to happen in terms of technology upscale, and what do we have to pay attention to? For example, which carrier of hydrogen is going to be the first to develop at a large scale for overseas shipping, so that we can prepare and say, okay, so this is we need ammonia cracking, more ammonia cracking or ammonia cracking. We need containers for liquid hydrogen, just to give you a couple of examples there. And looking at the mandatory blending and guarantees of origin trading, we're looking at the current systems. How have they coped with the different prices of the market, with different situations there, and how can those existing mandatory blending regimes in the Netherlands help us create a new scheme for a rollout of hydrogen mandatory blending schemes at different levels. This is so far the overview of the research questions in High Delta 1, we call it. Some results from the project. To give you an example of our research, we're doing simulations, pipeline simulations, looking at things like the noise generated by hydrogen, looking at the erosion rate of pipelines as well as of fittings, metallic, in particular, to see if there is going to be erosion, higher erosion rates than with natural gas, which may need maintenance more often on the grid. We're looking at what I mentioned before, quantitative risk assessments. We're comparing one-to-one the different risks of hydrogen in the distribution grid as well as hydrogen in the homes, so that we can see how much or how less likely is it to for hydrogen to pose a risk in different circumstances. We're also looking at the value chains. We are identifying hurdles, identifying windfalls for green hydrogen. This is, for example, green ammonia supply costs from different parts of the world. We are doing this for many business cases, not only ammonia, but other carriers, and for industry, mobility, and built environment. So it's a rather comprehensive value chain analysis we are doing. And that's it for some results of our project. As far as future goes, this is the High Delta 1.0 project, which ends in 2022. We are preparing a proposal for High Delta 2 that will include other aspects of hydrogen infrastructures. For example, optimal allocation of hydrogen, because between now and 2030, there will be increasing amounts of hydrogen. So how do we allocate them? What is the best way to put them? Do we sell them more to mobility? Do we go more the industry route? And what effects will that have on the development of infrastructure? Looking at also at further safety aspects of hydrogen in the natural gas infrastructure, but also looking at social acceptance. Our deliverables right now are all publicly accessible. I will show you later our links to webpage and our socials. And this we do to strengthen international collaborations so that we can help others and others can help us as well. A New Energy Coalition, we are developing training and educational curriculums for professionals in the hydrogen sectors. We are supporting our members that want to enter the hydrogen economy. And one thing in particular on hydrogen valleys, we are developing cross-border hydrogen valleys, working with our neighboring countries, with the neighboring German states, looking at, but also as far as Eastern Europe, as Estonia, for example, we are also working with them. And with this, that's the end of the presentation. Thank you for your attention. This is the website highdelta.nl. We have LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you have any questions, here's my contact information. So feel free to shoot a message.